you might remember this. And if you thought that problem had gone away, you'd be wrong. This car had its number plate unfortunately cloned back in December. I appealed the tickets, I thought the problem had gone away, turns out it hasn't. And in fact, it's got a whole lot worse.
So here's what happened. Just in case you're new to this, back in December, someone cloned my number plate and drove through London. I wasn't there, and I reported it to the police straight away, and I appealed the fine. A few weeks later, I got another letter from Newham Council, basically saying if you've already paid or appealed, you don't need to do anything with this reminder. So I didn't. But then, totally out of the blue, and not long after I spoke on BBC Radio London about this growing issue, I got an email. No apology, no explanation, just an offer. An offer to settle the whole thing for £65 before they register it as a debt.
So when I got that email telling me that I had the opportunity to pay just £65, I thought, it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem fair that they're offering me a way out of something that I never did. I appealed the ticket. I did it in a timely manner. I then got a reminder which told me not to worry if I've already appealed it, so I ignored it. It was then a month later they came back at me with this new offer, an offer that I didn't want to accept. And that was the biggest mistake I made in this whole process. So after being ignored for weeks and weeks by Newham Town Council in my response to their £65 offer, I finally got a response. It didn't come through email, it came through my door, and I received yet another fine. But this time, the fine was £195. £195, despite being offered it for £65 earlier. Repeatedly telling them that it was not me, and I have appealed the ticket, and they feel that it's necessary to send out a further fine without even talking to me after sending me the offer. This is totally unacceptable in my eyes, and this is where the system is completely flawed. But I had a plan that could change everything. And the plan? Very simple. To find out who the local MP was, reach out to them and see if they could offer any form of assistance in dealing with this really annoying issue. It was quite clear I wasn't getting anywhere with the council in terms of the parking area, but if I went through the MP, maybe they would know somebody who knew someone else, maybe this whole thing could be sorted out. I sent off an email to the local MP and I got a response straight away. Things were starting to look up. I was getting emails backwards and forwards. She was asking for PCN numbers, police, crime numbers, and everything. And things looked like they were going in the right direction. However, even she came up against a problem. Before we get into exactly what the MP came up against when trying to fight this case for me, I think it's also worth mentioning that I did actually put a formal complaint into Newham Town Council as well. I felt that I've been treated very unfairly. I've proved to the council that it wasn't me, the car had been cloned. I gave police crime numbers, all the information, photographs, the lot. They still wouldn't accept that it wasn't me, and they were still pursuing me for over £200 worth of fines at this point. So I put in a complaint and waited for a response, and I got one. But the response isn't exactly what I expected. The council basically washed their hands of it, saying they've looked into it and that I've not sent an appeal, which I have done. They said there is no record of an appeal on their system, and because this was to do with parking, they wouldn't even accept it as a complaint against the council, because it's a completely separate thing. But you try complaining to the parking side of the council. It doesn't exist. There's no way of contacting them, no email address, no telephone numbers, and if you finally do find one somewhere, no one will ever respond. And if you get a response, don't think that they're ever going to reply to that. It's an absolute nightmare contacting the council, and the whole system is totally flawed when it comes to innocent motorists like me dealing with problems like this. So what issues did the MP of Newham Town Council come up against for trying to look into this case for me? Well, before I get into that, I just want to say a massive thank you to her, because all the emails backwards and forwards throughout this whole process have been helpful, and I felt that she really did care. She wanted to get this issue sorted for me, because she could see that I was treated very unfairly by the council. She said she would do everything in her power to get this sorted, and she tried. But unfortunately, their power only goes so far. And we later find out what that means for me. The issue I now have, and the issue the MP came up against, is the fact that this fine has now been passed on above the council. Anytime you try and contact the council or the parking enforcement agency about this, they just hold their hands up and say it's nothing to do with us anymore. And that's because of this piece of paper here. This is a statutory declaration for an unpaid fine. And this is the only way I can get out of this entire mess. The problem is, I need to get a judge to sign this letter. Yep, that's absolutely right. I now have to get a county court judge to sign this letter so I can send it off and appeal. Appeal against something that I've been chased for the last 6 months. Something I've not done. I've not done anything wrong in this situation, and I'm being treated like a criminal. And this just goes to show that the whole system is completely broken. At the end of the day, I've done nothing wrong. Someone has gone online, found the number plate for this car, stuck it to the front of the car, and gone round and racked some fines up. Meanwhile, I'm being treated like the criminal, when actually, I'm the victim of this crime. The amount of stress this has put on me over the last 6 months has been ridiculous. At first, I brushed it off. I laughed about it. I said, well, this is going to create amazing YouTube content, because obviously it wasn't me, and you can clearly see from the pictures and the videos that this car was not the one in the image. But that didn't stop them. I naively thought I'd be able to brush this off like it was nothing, and I could make a nice dramatic YouTube video all about it. What I didn't expect is for the nearly 6 months on, I'm back here telling you exactly what's happening with the issue, because it's not gone away. The government are now threatening to send bailiffs to my house, they want me to attend court, and the whole thing could actually get even worse from here. Unless I can get this thing signed, sent off, and approved, this isn't going away. And I'm still being treated like the criminal. And that's wrong. So what are my next steps in dealing with this situation? Well, of course, it's about getting this signed and sent off. As much as I don't want to pay any more money out, I think I still need to defend myself, and I still need to prove that it wasn't me and clear my name, because it's not acceptable. The other thing that I'm going to do, and I've started that process already, is reach out to my local MP, get him to speak to the Transport Secretary on this wider issue. Because I'm not the first person ever to get one of these fines. I've heard of countless stories of people ending up in court. And I'm sure a lot of you watching this will have either been through this or at least heard of someone that's done it as well. And it's not a pleasant experience. All of this and all these bailiff threats happened right at the point when I was expecting my second child. And that is not the stress that you need in that time in your life. Worried about whether someone was going to knock on the door and just walk in, start helping themselves to some of the things in your house because you haven't paid a fine for something you haven't done. And it's really not acceptable, and it's so much undue stress that I've had to deal with over the last 6 months. So I do want to get the MP to speak about it. Amazingly, he did actually respond and say he was taking this issue up with the ministers, because they don't look at individual cases like this one, but they will look at it if they see there is a wider issue. And in my eyes, there is. Car cloning is on the rise massively. Unless something changes in the way that things are dealt with when it comes to the victim of the crime, this is just going to happen time and time again. There needs to be a more clear way of appealing your fines and having communication with the council and the person issuing the fine throughout. It's not really acceptable to completely ghost someone and then just issue more and more fines. It's totally unacceptable in my eyes, and something needs to change. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's not a video I expected to ever have to make, and I will be updating you once I hear back from the government and of course have my name completely cleared. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.